Hey, before I kick off the podcast, I just want to shout out Next Door Clothing. Next Door, a clothing brand based out of Bondi in Sydney. They're making really nice jeans and shirts and hats. So go and check out their full range at nextdoorsydney.com. They're also artists, so you can go and check out a range of art. They put on rad parties, and I love what they're doing. So nextdoorsydney.com for the full range.
We are rolling too.
Terrible Happy Talks. Terrible Happy Talks. Terrible Happy Talks. Terrible Happy Talks. Today's guest is Francis Mollet. Francis is an environmental activist, teacher, surfer, musician, husband, and father of two. Originally from Portugal, Francis has spent much of his life around the ocean and enjoying the natural environment. His career as a teacher has led him and his family halfway around the world. His passion and love for the ocean inspired him to found and lead the Surf Ocean Ambassador Program, or SOAP for short, at the Green School Bali, in which he started in 2014. Since then, the program has evolved into a student-led, project-based ocean and conservationist program that initiates regular beach cleanups and reef cleanups, trash repurposing projects, advocating for the use of plastic alternative solutions to consumer needs, raising awareness about climate issues via festivals and events, and the list goes on and on. They have been so active in the last 5 or 6 years. However, most importantly, the program teaches students to connect to their environment, connect with traditional landowners, traditional law, and make change. Real change. A truly inspirational initiative. Recently, Francis and his team of SOAP student representatives flew to Hawaii, funded by the legendary Parley for the Oceans, to attend a youth summit on ocean conservation strategies, activism, and how to raise awareness. One of the many steps in the journey towards saving our planet's most important resource, the ocean. Today, Francis is with me to discuss his journey, challenges, and hopes for the future. Francis Mollet, welcome.
Thanks, Shannon.
How are you, brother?
Great, man. I'm stoked to be here. It's so kind of you to invite me.
Mate, I'm so stoked to have you.
I just want to say one small correction. The Student Ocean Ambassador Program, we did start off as a surf program, but we ended up thinking surfing just isn't enough. And it's such a good gateway to so many things that we decided that was what we were going to do. We were going to branch out from surfing, and it did start off as a surfing program that developed into something a little bit more comprehensive, including all sorts of diving, the stand-up paddling, the festivals, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I have heard it called both of those things. So, and I kept calling it Surf Ocean Ambassadors Program throughout that intro. But it is a good point. Like, do you find that the fact that students can go surfing has been quite a good way to start them in their activism and connection to the ocean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was the obvious in for us because when we started it, we were surfers and, we wanted to go surfing more often. But as we went surfing more often, we found we were right in the middle of the problem with first-hand knowledge of what the problem looks like and thinking, how can we be part of the solution to this? So that's why, I mean, it did start as a surf program, and I'm just really pleased that it's not just reaching out to surfers, but anybody else who's got a passion for the ocean. And that's actually one of our things. We try and, our program's based on 4 key concepts.
And they are?
Hook 'em, train 'em, brain 'em, and launch them. You like that?
I love that. So, surfing was a hook.
So the hook is whatever it is that gets you into the ocean, because as soon as students... I like saying students. I'll probably say kids meaning students meaning kids, but grown-up kids as well. As soon as you've got an effective connection to the ocean, you're not only in it watching all that crap come around, you also feel like it's yours to protect. So if that's why I'm so pleased we went beyond surfing to students in general, and stand-up paddle and lifeguarding and diving, scuba diving,
free diving
coming up this year. I'm so looking forward to that. And we wanted to do something with the shark program, but they they recently had some issues and they're not operational in Bali anymore, which is a shame because there's some kids who are keen as.
Yeah. I love that, and I love that that you have evolved from that. I mean, as a surfer myself, and I've surfed for many years, it's definitely has led me to wanting to be a conservationist and an activist.
Yeah.
Because I am in it, and originally it was because I wanted to get waves, but then when you're surfing these beautiful beaches and you duck dive and a plastic bag wraps around your face, or worse, I won't even go into
ear
some
infections in the rainy season.
Yeah. You can't help to want to save it. I mean, and I love
that's
that.
our playground.
It's our playground.
It's our life support system on planet Earth.
Would you say that it's
Spaceship Earth?
For you, the ocean is more than just a playground? What else does the ocean give you as a human being?
Well, everything I need.
Such as?
It gives us the oxygen we breathe. It gives us the water, indirectly the water that drives the climate, that falls down as rain, that we need to drink and we need to feed our crops with. It gives me fun. It gives me peace. It gives me solace. It's so deeply connected to me, not just because I grew up always going to the beach and being part of the water, but also later on in life my mum died, her ashes went back to the ocean, so an infinitesimal part of that gigantic ocean is still her, and the connections are on so many levels. It's hard to get away from it. It's so deep. I know that sounds like a cliche, but the ocean is so deep. Sadly, they found some trash at the deepest part of the ocean, and I'm like,
that's amazing.
That's my mum. That's people talk about Mother Earth. Yeah, that's what's underneath. But 70% of the surface of Mother Earth, and we're not even talking the depths, is water. We're at least 70-75% water.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer, right? If we're going to do anything, we're going to save the world, we've got to look after the oceans. So David Attenborough said it 100 times. The ocean dies, we're dead. There's no 7 oceans. There's one giant ocean. It's all connected, and most of us live on it or right next to it. Most of us get our food from it. Most of life on Earth lives just near the edge of it. In the first 50 meters, it's and we're exactly on the land side of those first 50 meters, most of us. So it's just, for me, it's a no-brainer. It's so obvious that's where we have to start. That's where we have to start. That's where we hope to finish. I hope to be eventually part of the ocean too.
Likewise.
I'd like to just disappear and become a wave. Or maybe a star. You never know.
A starfish?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like what
you're on the beach.
It's just hearing you talk about your mother like that, and it just became very obvious to me immediately that you find a spiritual connection there.
Oh, for sure. When my mum died, it was that was around about the time I moved back to Portugal in my early 20s, and surfing for me was a big salvation in that time. It was I spent 2 years basically getting smashed on the head. There weren't any surf schools. I didn't know what I was doing, but I had been in the ocean all my life, and so just taking a board and finding the time to be by myself out there in this, immenseness that I'm powerless against, and coming to terms with that and accepting that. I mean, you can see the parallels with accepting the death of your mother.
Absolutely.
It's possibly the most. I say it's kind of like a black hole. It's emotionally the most difficult thing I've ever gone through, and the sea was there for me always, and it helped me clean my thoughts. It helped me, get my anger, my frustration, my all the feelings that come with something as devastating as that. I washed them in the ocean. Yeah, it's
beautiful. What a like. For me, the ocean is I feel the exact same way. And one thing, I had this thought once, I'm like, a lot of humans are forced to live in urban environments, these concrete jungles, but almost immediately, like if you go to a beach that's near a city,
mm-hmm.
you can almost immediately, the second you step into the ocean, you are immediately in a raw, natural environment.
Yeah.
And it can be night and day. Like you could be when there's a beach, let's say Rio de Janeiro, huge urban area with a beach there, but you can still escape that just by stepping onto the sand and being in the ocean.
Stepping onto the sand, you're already halfway there as soon as you're in the ocean.
And you have very little control of that environment.
Over time, you learn how to read it better and be controlled by it less, but you're a fool if you think you're ever really in control, and that's kind of the allure of the ocean and what it represents. It's like, we're really small, we're not supposed to get everything and control everything, and the ocean's so good for reminding us of that.
Yeah, it's like the human condition. Where we just want to we want to feel like we're in control. Like, why do you think humans feel like they want to control everything? That's a deep question.
Yeah. OCD. I don't know.
I think it's fear.
Our brains are very dual. They're very binary. It's on, off, yes, no, man, woman, black, white. I think it's messy or it's organized, and your brain automatically looks for patterns. So that's how we learn stuff. We start looking for things that we recognize and repeating things that we can see. And so we want to make sense of it all. We want it to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. We want to know what happened before. We want to know what happens afterwards. And once we're, when we're gone from here, where do we go next? I like the idea of being a tiny little atom just floating around in the ocean. I could do that. Or a tiny little atom floating around somewhere in the cosmos, preferably a shiny one.
I do. I'm listening to you speak, and I keep looking at that beautiful ukulele in your hands.
Can
you tell me about it? Like, what is it?
This was me blowing my life savings.
Expensive?
It wasn't cheap, but it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Hawaii was such a life-changing, reaffirming.
Your recent trip to Hawaii?
My recent trip was
Why was it life-changing?
Well, it's not really life-changing as much as life-accelerating and... and reaffirming. It was really nice to learn that we're not the only ones that are trying to, in our own small, insignificant little drop of water in the ocean kind of way, trying to make a difference. It's so great to meet people like, Parley. It's so good to meet, activists like Jack Johnson, meet Nainoa Thompson, who started the Hawaiian Renaissance. Just these... monumentally important people who in their own quiet little way are just drip, 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 sending out messages of positivity that for me really rang true with me, because the way they're running their approach to being an activist and trying to change something against all odds is very much the way I've been doing it here, and actually since before. So,
well, can you describe that then? What is that approach? Like you said, you sort of implied like drip, drip, drip. Like you're saying more like a slow.
Yeah, I think
integration.
if you think of this enormous, problem that we've got to solve, which is, even most people seem unaware of it, that we are possibly facing, the extinction of the human race, and the Earth won't care. It wouldn't care less. There was something so wonderful. They said, they were like, this is Spaceship Earth, and there's no docking station where we refuel. And the Hawaiians have known this for years. And if we look back in our ancestry, there's so many things that we've lost because someone else has sold us some sort of idea that what we had wasn't good enough. I mean, it's we're on a spaceship and we're all in it together, and we really, really need to come together to, I don't want to use the words fight this common enemy. I kind of look at it more like we need to join together in a kind of love bubble and take everyone into that. We can't scare them. We can't make them feel like they're doing something wrong. Or on the other hand, we do have to raise the alarm because the time is now.
Would you say it's sort of safe to say that you just want to raise consciousness and get people to think consciously?
Yeah. Yes. I want everybody here. I want everyone to care. I always say in my classes as a teacher, there are only two things I want from you. I want you to care and I want you to think. And actually that applies to pretty much everything I do in my life. That's the only thing that matters because, is there a God? What am I here for? All those questions are largely irrelevant if you just do the right thing not because anyone's looking, or because you think you should, or because you were told to by someone else. You do the right thing because it's the right thing. And as soon as you know what the right thing is, then that's why you do it, because it is the right thing, because it has come to you as the right thing. You're not going to get it right all the time, but it's not a reason not to try. And just, I want to give people that idea. Just keep trying. Every day, keep thinking, keep trying, and keep doing really little things that every day will add up to a big thing. Because if you try and stop plastic pollution, you're not going to do it overnight. But if you can carry your own water bottle, and people go, oh, that's cool. How did you do that? Well, it's an old T-shirt. I wrapped around it, and now it's my water bottle holder, and I'm kind of proud of it. And it's all skanky and old. But it's a really nice T-shirt, which I loved, and I didn't want to let go of it. It's Tintin in the Blue Lotus,
cool.
for God's sake.
Looks cool.
Yeah. So just little things every day, and that's going back to what I was relearning in Hawaii, is that all of us can do little things every day. And if all of us do little things every day, we're there.
Big things happen.
Huge things happen when everybody goes, no, I'm not doing that because it doesn't feel like the right thing to do, even though I felt like it at the time.
So activism, conservationism it's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah. And the fight isn't about anything else or anyone else. It's us. Me internally. I have to fight the little things in me every day, and I hope to shine that light on everyone else, because that's where it's at. That's where it's going to change. If we can accept the people who don't believe in climate change and just say to them, accept them for who they are first, then you can have a conversation. And then maybe next time they were going to take the car, they might take the bus and go, oh yeah, that nice guy, that nice guy, oh yeah, maybe that's right, and hey, I met a cool person on the bus, and we fell in love, and I think we're going to get there through love, not through me against anybody else. And all of us have to, if we're against anything, it's against the little things inside ourselves and our egos. Those are the things we really got to attack, because those are the ones we can actually battle and win. I don't even like the word battle. You just got to embrace it, accept it, give yourself a hug and say, you'll do better tomorrow.
You just said we're going to get there through love. Like,
that's
that
the
just
only
sounds
way.
Like it's a really good call. It's a good quote.
My hair's getting shorter as I get more sensible in my old age, but I did have long curly hair once upon a time. Well, but as my hair gets shorter, my conviction of what I just said becomes stronger.
Do you think that comes with age and wisdom?
You're very kind to call me old and wise.
Well, we do get older and wiser.
Yeah, I hope so.
Actually, you know what? I don't
so.
Actually necessarily think we do get wiser as we get older. We get the ones that get wiser are the ones that have been willing to learn their whole life and have a growth mindset.
For sure. Because there's always something else that we can do. Those are the little things. We can keep doing little things, I hope, till the day we die.
Can we just go back a little bit? You said something before. You said some people, just do what you know is right. Mm-hmm. But I feel like there'd be a lot...
When you don't know, ask.
And a lot of people...
Go looking.
But here's a statement for you, and tell me if you agree or disagree. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like as a society and as a race that we've lost our way, and that these climate issues and climate change and mass consumerism and mass pollution is a result of a society that has lost its way?
I don't want to sound too negative, but yes. One of the nicest things that I learned in Hawaii was how to do like that Moana thing and read charts. And there's a mental construct.
Just explain the Moana thing.
The Moana thing where you put your palm up to the horizon.
Yeah.
And the distance between the horizon. Movie. Yeah. They went to meet Nainoa Thompson and added that scene apparently into the movie afterwards because it's so important for what it represents.
And explain it.
And it represents... Well, do you want me to tell you how it works?
Try and give us a verbal description.
Polynesian navigation, they call it wayfinding. There isn't a physical compass. And these people didn't get to Hawaii by mistake, as the colonizing forces might want us to believe as they try to oppress the natives and the way they live their lives.
Yes.
And try and sell them a car and a hamburger instead. Not pointing any fingers. But anyway. It's a mental construct. And it's like, first and foremostly, you have to believe that you will find where you're going. And these people traveled thousands and thousands of kilometers across open ocean because they were used to it. And they did it on purpose and deliberately looking for the way. So are we lost as a society? We've lost a little bit of that, which is, do we believe where we're going, and do we know how to get back? And I think that was one of the nicest things I learned. This mental construct is like, you don't need a compass. If you've watched the currents, you've felt the wind on the side of your face, if the wind's on the other side of your face, you've drifted. Because you know those currents, because you kept your eyes open, you saw those fish. Wait, why are those fish going the wrong way? Beautiful idea.
You've connected with the weather patterns and the environment. You're understanding.
Totally. And so, coming back to how it works, it's really simple. You have to know where the sun's rising and where it's setting, and from that you take your bearings, and then you have to navigate at night because the stars don't lie. And I mean, just to make it nice and easy, if you're in the northern hemisphere, the North Star stays in the middle of the sky in the north, and that's how you know it's north, and all the others look like they spin around it. The lower ones will come up and down in an arc if you're in the southern hemisphere. And so you see what house. There's sort of 10-degree houses in this mental compass that you take at dusk and dawn, and you see what house they arrive in, what they rise in, and they fall in, and that will give you a bearing. And the Moana thing, where she holds her palm out to the horizon, is exactly that. The distance, when you've calibrated your palm, Nainoa Thompson, Uncle Nainoa was teaching us. And he's got a really cool thing called the Polynesian Voyaging School. You've got to check it out. It's so cool. Anyway, Austin Kino, one of his number one pupils, was showing us the stars at night. And he goes, it's really simple. You calibrate your hand, and more or less the distance from the horizon to the bottom of the Southern Cross is 4 fingers, let's say. And if the Southern Cross is also 4 fingers from the bottom to the top, then you're exactly at the right latitude to find Hawaii. Then you only really need to go east or west, which is easy because that's where the sun rises or sets. And so think of this. If you have a good enough memory and a good enough knowledge of your surroundings, you don't need a compass. The compass is in your head and your heart and your observations of your day-to-day environment. And if we could I think most of the kids were like, why is this old man talking about reviving some Polynesian secret? And for me, his was the first talk of the Parley event, and it's the one that is still resonating the loudest, and every time I think about it, it comes back stronger. Yes, we've lost that knowledge, that way. Where did we come from? What was wrong with the way we used to do things? But I don't want to just be negative, and I want to say the other flip side of that is these people were so brave and so adventurous, and they wanted to go forward to something new and better because they were on tiny islands all over Polynesia, and they needed to find more land. Now, there's the caveat. Do we as human beings always need more? Our economic system seems to be based on there will always be more, and we've come very scientifically to the conclusion. I mean, I came to this conclusion when I was 6. There's only one Earth. How is this? Why do people keep talking about adding stuff up when it always adds up to one? There's only one everything. You know, when you run out, then what? Yeah. I love Earth Overshoot Day. I think that's just the coolest idea.
Earth what?
Earth Overshoot Day, where you calculate according to your lifestyle how many Earths would be necessary.
Sorry. I get it. Yeah.
And there's like a day when you've exhausted your quota of resources for the year. And I've done it a couple of times. Like, you know, the first time I was really scared because I didn't want to face it. And I'm still not. I'm not getting to a year, but I still do it every so often. I'm not going to tell you what day I'm on, so don't even ask.
I know.
But I am getting less. And here's the thing. If you have the courage to measure it and go, okay, what am I prepared to, and I don't want to say give up, what am I prepared to exchange for something, what am I going to take out of my daily mix? And I always like to start with, what am I going to put into my daily mix that's going to push out something else that wasn't doing me or the planet any favors? Not eating palm oil snacks is a great one.
Yeah.
Not getting the biodiesel car was a big thing. I mean, I got a family. I live quite remotely. I'm too selfish to. Yeah. I'm not prepared to spend 4.5 hours getting to work on public transport in Bali.
You drive a car that's run on biodiesel.
Yeah. So am I better? I'm a bit better. I'm not. Am I there yet?
Here's a question for you. One person driving one biodiesel car, is that going to solve climate change? Most likely not. However,
but I've got a stick on the back that says biodiesel, no war required.
My real question is, how do you feel every time you hop in? What is your personal feeling every time you hop in that biodiesel car?
I think the Middle East is not on my conscience anymore, and that makes me really happy because that's a mess.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't believe that people do anything other than do anything for anyone else other than because of the way it makes them feel. And it makes me feel good that my car says no war required on the back of it. You know, it's what I can do now. Yeah. And it's not enough, but it's more than I was doing 3 years ago.
Yeah.
When, I got the car a couple of years ago, the opportunity arose. I'm investing. That's my money. I could have saved that money and got a cheaper car, and diesel cars are not cheap.
No,
especially because they last forever and ever and ever. But you know what? That's a kind of sustainability as well. So that's an investment. I'm not. I don't want to think about what's your return on investment, because I think that's just stupid. It's the wrong way of looking at it. I'm looking at my kids as they hop into the car with me, and I'm like, we drive a biodiesel car, and I must confess, A, because we can afford to, but B, because we think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And then I turn around and find Gian eating palm oil snacks in the back, and I go, oh man, were you listening to anything I'm saying? But you know what? He's 8, and we've had a couple of talks about that, and he looks sheepish, and all his friends eat Oreos and palm oil snacks. So I don't know.
You're planting the right seeds, and
that's the idea.
He'll reflect upon those discussions. Going back to the speaker, is it Nainoa Thompson? Can you just give Can you give the listeners maybe a bit of background on who he is?
So he's a Polynesian fisherman who's very good friends with the other astronaut that no one knows the name of, Macy, who was there with Armstrong when they went to the moon. And he was friends with him because Macy met him and recognized in him that beautiful human condition of wanting to know more, always wanting to find out, go a little bit further, learn a little bit more. And Macy was really into, I believe it was Macy, was really into training, trying to be Nainoa's mentor, because Nainoa was a fisherman, I believe, and a big wave surfer, and but he was also Hawaiian, looking for answers to what's happened to our culture.
Yeah.
And it's the story of the Hawaiians, but it could be the story of any of us. What's happened to who we were and the way we used to do things. There's some great advances in medicine, science, all the rest of it, and Macy was all about that. But also there's that, that need to explore, to go, to find, but remain connected to where you come from and know why you're doing it, Yeah. So Nainoa realized that Hawaiian culture was being stamped out essentially by modern consumerist, capitalist America, with all due respect to my wonderful North American friends. And he wanted something, a symbol, something that he could get people to rally around to revive Hawaiian culture, because Hawaiians used to live on sort of pizza slices of the island, and everything they needed was on their slice, and they would share with neighboring slices when they had to. But, by the coast you had fishermen, inland you had farmers, up in the mountains you had wise old men who had, herbal plants and
medicine. Trade and barter.
And they looked after each other, and they never needed anything else. And then along comes this sort of, post-war, hey, let's all play ukuleles and wear flower shirts and, dye our hair blonde. And I think it's one of the things I noticed when I was there, is that it's such a beautiful place, and people look a little bit despondent and unhappy. And I'm like, have you looked outside your window, or is it, you looking at the TV and what everybody else has in the adverts and thinking, oh, I don't have any of that.
Maybe it's because they've been demonised in their culture's been demonised in their own country.
Well, that's the thing, and hugely eroded. And what Nainoa wanted to prove was, no, the Polynesians didn't arrive in Hawaii by mistake after 10,000 miles of drifting aimlessly on currents and magically repopulate an island. He was like, no, these were master wayfinders. No, and his point was, I want to prove that these people did this on purpose, quite deliberately. And when they got there, they took... That's why they know that they're the same people, because they've got the same language and the same customs as the people in Easter Island, in Tahiti, in Hawaii. They're from the same nation. And so what he wanted to do is prove that, no, it's not a mistake. Yes, you can do anything if you believe and you're connected with your environment. And so with this really grounding naturalist approach, he did this wonderful journey on this boat from Hawaii to Tahiti with a guy from the Southern Hemisphere who'd never even seen the Northern Stars and still managed to navigate there.
No
and then Macy
way.
said to him, yeah, you've got to do it again, but you've got to go all the way around the world, because what you're doing is you're proving that Hawaiian people have a voice, and that old ancestry has a voice and has a place and is worth conserving. And so that's what he did several years later, after like some terrible... That's how Eddie Aikau died. Eddie Aikau, the famous Eddie Aikau, the big wave...
Eddie would go.
Eddie would go. Eddie was one of the people who went on the big journey to go around the world to prove outside of Polynesia who these people are and put them on the world stage. And they hit a huge storm on the first 2 days or 3 days, and Eddie Aikau was going to paddle off to go and get help, and that's the last time anybody saw him. So it's monumental, especially as a surfer. Like, that story will give you chills.
Yeah.
And there's this really humble guy, Nainoa Thompson, talking to a bunch of bleary-eyed kids who've just arrived from God knows where, and it's the first day and it's all new and they've all got stars in their eyes and it's getting late and they're all like slightly blinking at this old man thinking, what's going on? And it was beautiful because he started out with this thing. He just very humbly, he's just sitting down and he's looking at his feet and he goes, first of all, I want to apologize. I have 2 10-year-old twins, and every time I put them to bed at night, there's a part of me that wants to cry because of what we're handing you as young people, what we've done. But he's then spent the rest of his life trying to prove to everyone that it's really worth to connect backwards but look forwards and keep your nature, your environment, keep the sea, keep your mind pure, and keep doing what you can a little bit every day. And that's what he said. I want my kids to grow up thinking, at least my dad tried.
Yeah.
And that was like, and then the end of the first day, half of it went in, and the second day it starts to echo around in the back of my brain somewhere amidst all these cool experiences and other people. I met Kimmy Werner.
Here's a question for you. But
that's no.
Have you felt more passionate about this type of cause since you've had children?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, coming back to what we were saying earlier, existential questions for me, the best thing I ever did in my life was have children, because the moment the first one came out, Finian, I was like, oh, this is easy. Philosophy, bollocks. There is no question. That's why we're here. The purpose of life is for it to continue itself on this epic journey through the solar system on this super cool spaceship that we have called Earth. You know, it's so obvious. I remember feeling like, you know, I all my problems were on first, second or third floor. Sometimes fifth floor problems would come along and I'd get all ruffled and deal with it. And then my son was born and I just felt like I was on top of the Empire State Building. I went there once when I was 19 and did the Ferris Bueller thing and kind of put my head on the glass and looked over the edge.
Ferris Bueller. That's so funny.
And I remember feeling that figuratively, looking at my son going, wow, everything else is so tiny and so small and so far away that nothing else matters. The only time I even came close to that, funnily enough, was the one activity I'll happily drop anything else for, and that's sailing. If someone that says, do you want to come sailing? I'll drop everything I can. I might even put a sickie from work. And as you sail away, I don't like the engines too much, but if you can go on the wind and you sail away from the horizon, you just see all your problems become smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until they disappear, and you're like, wow, they really weren't that important. And now you look around and you don't see problems. You just see this big blue promise of like possibility and like anything could happen. I might see dolphins. I might, get knocked overboard. I might hit a storm. I mean, and it's just like, and it's like you're born again, and all of that rubbish just doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. I think it's so crucial for every human being to go far enough out into the ocean where all they can see, where all they can actually see for as far as the eye can see is 360 degrees of ocean.
Blue, yeah.
Because
hopefully they won't see a plastic thing fly past.
It is the weirdest experience because you can become so disorientated so
and if you look
quick.
down and you see it go from blue to black and you're like, whoa, that's
yeah, and you don't have any. The only thing, and the first thing I did, the first time I experienced that was I needed a compass point. So what do you think I did?
You needed one?
What did I do? Look straight up. Where's the sun?
Where's the sun?
And straight away, I'm connecting. I'm connecting with the bigger picture and what's going on around me. But how often do people actually do that and go, "Where's the sun today?"
Yeah.
We are drunk on convenience.
Night it's even better.
Excuse me?
At night it's even better. You see your own stars and make your own stories up
in
about
the ocean?
What they are. Yeah, because you get no light pollution. The stars are so bright.
Yeah.
It's something else.
It's amazing.
You never want to go to sleep. One of my nicest memories in my life, actually shortly after my mum died, me and my little sister and little brother, we booked ourselves onto this boat, this humongous, like 100-meter boat. It's from 1923. It used to go and get cod for Portuguese market from the seas of Norway, and it's been totally repurposed to be a Navy training vehicle, vessel rather, and once a year, I think for a couple of weeks, they'll take youngsters aged 15 to 25 and boat them somewhere. And we went from Lisbon through the Straits of Gibraltar to North Africa.
Amazing.
Ceuta. Yeah, just a most amazing experience. Living in bunks, and you had shifts of 4 hours. And one of my favorite memories of all time was doing the pre-dawn shift. So from 4 a.m. till 8. That was my shift, and I was right up at the bows of the ship, and it's nighttime, and my buddy fell asleep, and I stole a couple of beers out of the kitchen, and I'm sitting there just drinking these beers nice and calmly, looking up at the stars, and just in love with my life at that particular moment, having suffered some of the, that was the beginning of me coming back into the kind of life-loving, fun-loving person that I was. I see phosphorescence below me, like, amazing. Then I see dolphins bouncing around in the phosphorescence, and they follow us as dawn is coming up. The phosphorescence fades and the dolphins become more obvious, and they're just two of them just playing with me as we come through the Straits of Gibraltar. Europe on my left, Africa on my right, and I've got a fascination with Africa. The sun rising in front of me, beautiful, clear, windless day, but the engine room so far behind is a 100-meter boat, I couldn't hear it. I just hear these two dolphins, and just the most clear, beautiful morning, and almost no one's there. The sea is beautiful, glassy, reddish, orange, purpley, just to die for.
Surreal.
And I was like, yeah, it's all right being alive.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
Yeah,
you can take pleasure from little big things like that, then...
I mean, I think most surfers, a lot of surfers have had that experience where you're actually on a wave and then dolphins start jumping out of the wave you're on and they're surfing with you. It's just one of those moments.
You make that connection. And they remind you to connect to where you are. And and you're like, oh, I'm not just connected to them, I'm connected to the blueness and the planet and the stars. And I'm just on a little rock spinning around, a beautiful star all on its own. And that's one of a bazillion other ones. And then you remember it's okay to be that small. And it's totally okay. It's totally okay to be a drop in the ocean and just try and be a right drop rather than a I don't care drop.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's exactly right. And I mean, like, I was just thinking of this meme, like memes. You see this meme?
What are memes? I'm from the last century. I have no idea what you're
phenomenon.
talking about.
I'll be honest.
No, I do know.
I called them memes for about the first 5 years.
But
there's this one, and it's just like, It's just a picture of the galaxy, with all the gazillion stars, and it's just got one of those arrows that you see on information signs. It just says, "Just remember, you are here." And it's like, I look at that. It's one of my favourites because it just puts things into such perspective. But let's go back a little bit now to you grew up in Portugal.
Grew up in Portugal.
Okay. Which part? Lisbon?
Near Lisbon, at a lovely sea. It's not really seaside. It's in a mountain which has its own little microclimate. About 10 kilometres from the sea, but because it's quite high up, you get a really good view of the sea from where I was. And it felt like countryside. It felt like, fir trees and a small village outside. You can see the city in the distance at night. It's beautiful. It all lights up, shiny little lights. And during the day, you can see the ocean in the distance too. It's a sleepy little town full of all sorts of palaces and castles and stuff. A throwback from when Portugal used to rule the world.
Rich culture. Rich.
Yeah, check out what's coming. Yeah, been there, seen it, got the T-shirt, ruled the world for a couple of hundred years.
So were you born in Portugal?
I was born in Portugal. Portuguese mother, English father. My mum actually was from a small village in Madeira that Cristiano Ronaldo is also from.
Right.
So there you go.
How come you're no good at
Machico.
How come you're no good at soccer then? Just kidding.
Well, because I was brought up mainly by my mum, my aunties, my two older sisters. My dad was a sort of very
Why? Where was your dad?
patriarchic figure. We just always at work all the time. And there's 5 kids, and the first 2 were girls, and then there's me, and then the other one's a girl, and my cousins were girls. Luckily, my cousins on my dad's side lived next door. And I had a cousin who was 3 years older than me, and he was a boy, and we were like thick as thieves, best friends. And his little sister was my age, so there's lots of girls growing up, and that's why I didn't really play much soccer. Me and my boy cousin used to ride bicycles and smoke cigarettes.
Always the black sheep.
Yeah.
Were you a bit of a rebel? I kind of get the sense that you were.
Yes. It was. My dad taught me that you can do anything you like in life so long as you don't get caught. And for many, many years, I thought, oh, that's cool. I can roll with that. And as a grown-up, I'm now thinking, that's pretty much the way his whole generation and the last couple of 100 years have been running. And now we're pointing fingers going, guys, you've been caught, you're raping the planet. You're just taking stuff for yourself at the expense of all the rest of us and nature and the air we breathe. We really ought to look at that a little bit. So I don't believe in that. Although I did say to someone on the bus the other day, if I didn't catch them on their iPhone, I wouldn't care.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's a really
so yeah, I was naughty. I felt bad for my cousin because his parents were so nice that whenever his parents actually said, no, you can't do that, he would feel so guilty he wouldn't do it. Whereas my parents...
Well played, Mum and Dad.
Yeah.
That's
My parents were like, you can't do anything. And so we did everything we wanted all the time, and for the longest time, our currency was a smack. If you knew you were going to get a smack at the end of the day for misbehaving, you'd go all out and make sure that smack was worth it. So you really... Yeah, so I wasn't so much a rebel as a product of my environment, I like to say.
So is that where you went to school?
I went to school till I was 10, in an English-speaking school.
Okay. Like an international school?
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, right.
Now, it was an international school. It only used to go up to 9th grade, but my grandmother, on my father's side, had left some money specifically for us all to be sent to boarding school in England to become... Okay. She was...
Did they think that you were going to get a better education that way?
To be honest, at the time, it was a fair assumption. It was a good guess. If it wasn't for my schooling in England, I don't know if I would have had that broadness of vision. By the age of 10, I was going, spending a 2-day journey going to a boarding school and spending 3 months at a time with a whole bunch of other kids who'd been sort of abandoned by their families.
Is that how you felt?
No, I thought it was a great big adventure, and I was going to the land of Mars bars until I went to my first class and realised that, I'm at school.
Yeah.
And my parents had dumped me with all my clothes and everything I needed, but they hadn't thought of leaving me with a pen or a pencil. And as this sort of robed figure of a Benedictine monk comes towards
a Catholic boarding school.
As the robed figure comes towards the classroom, panic sets on me, and I'm like, I'm sitting in a classroom. I'm about to have my first class, and I haven't even got a pen to my name.
Why?
So I tap the guy in front of me on the shoulder. I'm like, please lend me a pen. Just lend me a pen. And he fishes around in his pencil case, and he gets the most skanky half-broken pen. He goes, you can have that one. And I was so grateful. That guy became one of my best friends.
Nice.
Yeah,
but you
to
were
this day.
terrified of not having that because...
Well, I was so emotionally unprepared. I just thought I was going on summer camp. You know, I'm one of 5 kids. I'm this one.
middle child.
Yeah, I'm the middle finger. Yeah, I'm the
I
middle
never
finger
believed
child.
that you were the middle child.
Oh yeah, totally.
So, a Catholic boarding school for how many years?
From the age of 10 to 18. Wow. Hardcore. Yeah.
And
I loved it. My little
I was
brother
gonna say,
absolutely hated it.
So reflecting upon that time now, it wasn't traumatic. It wasn't bad. It was what it was. It is what it is.
There were traumatic moments for sure.
Loneliness?
But it's very... Yeah, no, because I was quite social. I'm quite good at making friends. As I said, being one of 5, by the age of 10, I'd done so many sleepovers. Water off a duck's back. But yeah, I mean, being 13 years old and, being small and brown from Portugal when everyone else is blonde and 6 foot something, and then, and having to play rugby was fairly traumatic. I had no idea what I was doing, and I see these guys kicking the ball and then jumping on it and then throwing it. No one bothered explaining to me because I spoke perfectly good English. Yeah. And so everyone just assumed I knew what rugby was. And I'd played American football with my Brazilian friend in Portugal, but I'd never even heard the word rugby, for example. And I see these kids and they're like, oh, just stand in the back and stop anyone who's coming through. And I'm standing in the back in the goalposts waiting for the guy to come, and suddenly I see one guy break away and he's running like crazy. He's looking like he's going to kill me, and I'm slightly nervous, and I'm standing between the goalposts like ready, expecting he's going to kick it, because they've been doing that a little bit as well. He's going to kick it at some stage and it's going to come straight towards me. I'm a little bit nervous, and he just runs straight past me and puts the ball down on the floor next to me, and I'm thinking, what an idiot. And then I look up and I see the rest of the guys, and they're all on my team. They're all running towards me really angry. I'm like, fuck this. I turned around and ran away. I was really good at climbing because I was small and light. I climbed up a tree and sat in the tree, and the PE master's like, come down. I'm like, no way, they're going to kill me. I'm not. And I waited till the game finished and everyone abandoned the field and went back up to wherever they came from and kind of checked the coast was clear and slunk down the tree. And
did you feel like
and
different?
I had these brand new white leather high top basketball shoes that my mum had given me, and it was it's cold and muddy and wet, and I was like, my beautiful brand new shoes. I didn't know you had to have boots with spikes in the bottom. So trauma, definitely. I hated rugby for years.
Did you feel like an outcast though? You said everyone was like tall and blonde haired, and you were dark skinned.
No, because I've always found it easy to get to know people and chat people. I had plenty of friends. I just was no good at rugby. You found
your little niche group.
I wasn't even a niche. I was friends with most of us, because most of us were thrown into that together, and we were like, the first night everybody's crying, going, "Oh, my mum just left," kind of thing. It was just me and a French kid, the only two who weren't crying. He ended up being another one of my best friends forever and ever. And we were like, oh, yeah, I think the second night I cried, though. I was like, it kind of hit me the second night, because I was just having too much fun on the first day. The rugby thing wasn't the first day. The rugby thing was like the first week. That was pretty hardcore.
Boarding school. And then, so, 18, you left school. Yep. Did you transition straight to university?
No. I learned, my dad sent me to London, and I learned how to type and use word processing skills and spreadsheet skills.
Oh, wow.
I spent a month in a place called Pitman College, and I was the only guy, and the others were all learning to be secretaries. They were all girls. Man, I had so much fun.
Why?
I can't think why. It was just great. It was like me and 20 girls. And
you liked that?
I loved it. It was great, Like, I learned how to type. I learned how to do spreadsheets. I know how to do word processing, because when I went to school, there weren't even computers. There was a computer lab, and they had this thing called, I think it was called Logos 123, with a green screen and a turtle that you could program to go forward, turn right, go forward, turn right, and it would draw like triangles and squares for you. And that
Apple
was like
Macintosh.
God, this is boring. So, but my dad was like, no, the future is technology. And bless him, for all he may have been a little bit, busy working and not there a lot, and sending me away to school, he did genuinely mean well, and he had his finger on the pulse quite nicely. He used to make me do things I didn't like, and he would call it good bad experience, because it's good for you, especially if you don't like it. Because
I'm a believer in that. I mean, I learn most of my life lessons and lessons in general through the bad stuff, through the suffering.
You learn so much quicker when it hurts.
You do. It's got to be an easier way. There's no easy options.
No, the easiest way is to burn your fingers, because you learn really quickly
and get in there.
Yep.
So after you did that, then you worked for a few years.
Then I went to, what did I do after that? I went to Lisbon for a couple of months and did some telemarketing of insurance salesman. I was like, nah, this isn't for me. And then I worked as a KP, that is kitchen porter. That's the back of house in a self-service restaurant. It was soul crushing, and I was telling my dad, I was like, I don't care who your buddy is that got me this job. Your buddy is not a buddy. I'm 18 years old. I speak 4 languages. I've been educated for thousands of pounds in England, and you want me to
wash dishes?
And I'm not even allowed to talk to the clients. I was told to just load the washing machines and wash the dishes. I was so angry. After a month, I got psychosomatically sick and quit.
Just quit.
I was just, I cannot do this. But it was great. I was like,
it was the best job of my life.
Oh, I hated it. But funnily enough, years later at a university in London, my way of making money was doing exactly the same job, kitchen porter at big corporate events.
Right.
But that was awesome, because we'd come in early, set up the party, stay late, clean up the party, and in between, when the actual party was happening, we'd get like 3 hours of free time. Sometimes in the coolest venues, Tower of London.
No way.
Yeah, the Science Museum, running up in the loft, running across the roofs, like peeking into, like in the Science Museum, peeking into these locked doors. Someone found the keys.
Way.
Me and one of my best buddies, we used to do it as a way of making money, because you got paid by the hour, including the 3 or 4 hours you'd wait for the function to be happening.
Give people a little
and it was
tour.
just some of the coolest venues, because they'd be these big corporate dues in fancy places.
Yeah.
The Tower of London was amazing, like in between the machinery and the gears that make the bridge go up and down. That's where we set up our KP.
Way.
And it was a small intimate dinner. Another one was in...
so you lived in London...
London Bridge, that was. Tower of London was the prison.
But you were living in London?
Yeah, I was living in London at university.
Okay.
Sorry, I should probably backtrack. So after London for a month learning how to type, and then Lisbon doing awful jobs that I hated, I then took off to Madrid, Spain, for 6 months and worked in a 5-star hotel, kind of going around all the various departments. And that was so much fun, but I was like, I've got to get out of here. I was a small, skinny guy. I soon became fat and unhealthy. I smoked too much. I drank too much. I partied like crazy. And then I went back to University College London.
And got a teaching degree?
I got 4 years of sort of, basically I got an easy degree that I knew was going to be something that I could do without working too hard, but it's kind of along the lines of what I wanted to do. And that's actually where I started teaching, because I was in a band and I needed money.
Okay.
My dad said, how much money do you need a month? I said, about £450. And he goes, great, I'll give you 350. So I was like, damn, I always had these extra jobs. And one of them was this, doing functions for corporate events. And the other one was teaching.
Yeah.
Teaching English to kids, teaching French and Spanish. And so during my 4 years that I was studying, I also had these 2 other lives that I was living. And then I thought, well, the holidays are good and I quite like this teaching thing, and it's a good way to make money, and I'm still going to have enough time off to be with my band and become a rock star. So I did
you were legitimately chasing that dream?
Totally. I was convinced it was going to come true.
I believe
People would ask me, I was 19 years old, they were like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to be a rock star.
So what kind of music was it?
That's kind of very typical thing at the time. It was funk rock, very heavily influenced.
Funk rock or punk rock?
Funk rock. It was kind of in the late 90s, Faith No More, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
We're the same. We're the same era.
So good. I
grew up with those two bands for sure.
Yeah. So that was, that was what we were sort of working towards. And
you're a great front man.
Thank you.
I've seen you on stage.
And and in many ways, I kind of think about it, and it's so good that I didn't become a rock star. I remember one day getting a phone call.
I've never heard anyone say that.
Well, I don't know. Look at most rock stars.
It's not a sustainable lifestyle.
It takes them a while to sort of come out the other end and start actually doing something good to help everyone else. On a kind of, no, that's not fair to say. Actually, it's not fair at all. A lot of the inspiration and a lot of the positive messages, a lot of my psyche is probably built up on lyrics of things that have struck a chord with me deep down inside.
Gotcha.
So that's unfair. It's unfair to say that. But, it's a little bit inward gazing, and you're chasing money and fame and girls and drugs. And that now looking back on it, I'm glad. I got a phone call one day when I was in my first year at college from a lady saying, I've got a band leaving to Japan on Monday. I saw you play a gig. Would you like to be the front man? And I went, no. My dad would kill me, first of all. Second of all, I've got my own band and I'm going to be rich and famous anyway. I don't need to go to Japan for that. And it's so funny because sometimes, like many years later, I look back at that moment and go, what if? And funnily enough, coming to Bali was a bit of a what if moment. And I was like, this opportunity is just going past me and I don't know where it's going to take me, but I thought I had settled back in Portugal into my dream job. I loved teaching. I had a band again with my brother, my wife, my cousin, my friends. We used to do gigs and pack the bar and drink the place dry. So I kind of was a rock star and a teacher, and that gave me a lot of connection with people, which gave me a lot of real things to talk about and write about that weren't about me and my feelings.
It started as just a means to an end, just to pay the rent.
Yeah, kind of.
So,
but it ended up, I liked it.
So you could just so you're at university, and also working as a teacher while you're at university.
Yeah. I was supposed to go for a year out, and I decided because I had this band and I was really into it, and I had this job as a teacher that was helping me pay for it. I went to the university and I said, please, can I not go on the year out to South America or Spain or whatever it is, because I already speak Spanish and Portuguese, so it's not as though I need to go there to cement my linguistic capabilities. I said, I've got this job that I really quite like, and I told them, actually, I really want to be a teacher when I'm older, so please let me stay and pursue that. And they totally bought it, when actually what I really wanted was to have a subsidized lifestyle from my dad and my jobs, and be able to carry on being in my band.
So
we were called Crash Monkey. It was
so
awesome.
It sounds like, from listening to what you're saying, like your dad had a pretty heavy influence on you through your life.
Of course, yeah.
Of course, and he was funding. Was he funding your university years, like those parents?
Yeah, but making sure I was had a little bit less than I asked for, just to make me fund myself.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for that, but I hated him for it at the time.
It's a tough one. I always used to say before I had kids, my kids, I'm going to make them work for everything because that's how I had to do it, and it's going to be good for them. But now I just find myself just wanting to give them whatever they want, as long as, and it's just innate. But I have to really pull myself back, and I think that's one of the fundamentally most difficult things of being a parent. Yeah, because you just love them so much, Yeah, and so you finished.
Actually, on that topic, can I just jump in? Sometimes when we moved here to Bali, my dad would say, "Well, they've got to get used to real life and the real system. So, I mean, how long are you going to stay in Bali in this pretend school?" And I was like, you know what, this is as real as it gets. I'm staking my life, my career, my family's happiness, their education on this, because I actually believe in it. And he was like, but you can't just have a good time all the time. Life is going to throw some curveballs. And I said, I totally agree with you, but I don't need my children to practice being miserable. They will have to be miserable. Yeah. They're going to go through it, and I just hope to be there for them. I
love that.
But they're not. My children will not practice being miserable. They will be miserable, and when they're there, I hope I'm there for them.
Oh, Francis, I love that. That's rad, because I often think, like, this life in Bali that I'm living and that we're living is, I'm like, it's just not reality. I hear myself saying
it's
that.
It's so real, Shan.
But what is reality? And then it's like, I feel like back home and this full-on modern day lifestyle that I've been forced to live, that's not reality.
But even that's an illusion. You were never forced.
True.
Now you look at it, the scales have fallen from your eyes, and there are alternatives, and there are little things that all of us can do every day. I keep saying I'm not going back to Portugal. God knows I'd love to grow old and die there and get burnt and chuck my ashes in the sea there near where I was born.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go back to Portugal. I want to go forward to Portugal. I believe in this. I think this is so important. I think there is Uncle Nainoa's philosophy. Look back, keep going forward. Even if you're going forward to go home.
Look back, keep going forward.
Yeah.
History, I mean, we have to know our history to know where we're going.
Yep.
Know the past so you can progress into the future. That's really, that's really cool. Listen,
yes.
Well, let's lighten it up a bit because that's awesome.
Deep,
I'm
man.
sitting here.
Deep
I'm sitting here looking at you with that beautiful ukulele. And what do you play? Can you play us something? Come on, yeah.
Can I play you a song I wrote?
Now listen, go play it and whatever.
Might be a little bit quiet on
Play
the
whatever you
recording.
want, man. It doesn't matter. Maybe can you stand up so the uku? Oh no, you know what? To be honest, it'll be right.
It will be all right.
I'll adjust it. She'll be right, mate. That's what we say in Australia.
Always thought I'd like to fly high, like to Jamaica, or see the sunset from a flat pad in Mayfair. I always thought I'd light up brighter than a rock star. I always dreamed I'd be the lucky one to go far. I always burned to bring some sunshine back to the whole wide world and warm the winter weather that makes your insides cold, and touch that part of people packed with love and pleasure, pumped ready to burst. Hope I'm not the last, and thank God I'm not the first, but we can't always get the things we wish for, and it's so easy to find someone else to blame. And so I'll try to show you what I learned about this crazy game. Go your own way, follow your own flame. I always wanted to sing my own reggae song, my own reggae song. I always wanted to sing my own reggae song, my own reggae song. Always told me hide your feelings, like they could make me forget my dreams. It seems reality might break me. I always thought I'd glisten, sitting on my own sweet fence. I always thought I'd shine on both sides and know the difference. They always told me hide your feelings, come try and make me. I'm made of dreams, yeah, silly sticks and stones can't break me. I got these little words, so just listen and they'll wake you up. Be true inside and you won't need no breakthrough or no breakup. But we can't always get the things we wish for, and it's so easy to find someone else to blame. And so I'll try to show you what I know about this crazy game. Go your own way, follow your own flame. Sing it with me, Shine. I always wanted to sing my own reggae song, my own reggae song. I always wanted to sing my own reggae song, my own reggae song. And I know that these things that I want won't take me far. And I know if it's gold that I want for a fast car. All I know is I told you I'd love to go that far, but I know, yes I know, it's like screaming in a little jar. My own reggae song, my own reggae song. I always wanted to sing my own reggae song, my own reggae song. Last time now, my own reggae song, my own reggae song, my own reggae song, ba-ba-da-ba-da-da-dum, my own reggae song. Yeah. Thank you. Everyone should sing their own song.
That was so enjoyable, dude.
Thank you. I love singing. It makes me feel good.
It just seems so, like, organic. Like, I don't want to say, I know that's a cliche thing to say, but...
Well, we are in grade school.
You know, like, you often hear about them talk... some musicians and artists have what they call the X Factor. They have some sort of stage, they have some sort of
Isn't
presence.
that a crap TV show?
Oh, no,
no,
they abused that terminology. Ooh. Yeah, it just felt like you've just got this presence when you play music. So, like, at what stage did you kind of not say give up on the dream, but what stage did you go, you know what, I'm just, I'm not going to make it as a musician?
I never... It's funny you say that. I actively tried to give up music a few times in my life, but it just kind of creeps its way back in and reminds me of what's important. And so I've tried to quit it a bunch of times, and it just keeps on coming back. And then I find myself, for better for worse, when I'm happy, when I'm sad. It's a thing. It's clearly somewhere in there, and I can't really get rid of it. So now I've come to terms with it. I'm actually really happy. Like I said earlier, kind of happy that I didn't become a rock star, because I probably wouldn't have anything to sing about if I just spent my life in hotels and airplanes and being adored by people. My contact with whole communities as a teacher, from kids to parents to staff to administrators to it's fed me so many stories. I mean, ultimately, I just love people. I think that's the thing I like more than music. Oh, well, it's hard to say. I like music as a way of talking. Hi. As a way of connecting with people, but it's an in and. Are
you actively writing music continuously? Or if you just find inspiration.
One of my favourite things to do after a hard day at school is to go and sit on the cliff top overlooking the ocean. And normally I have a beer and I have my ukulele and I watch the sun go down and the stars come up, and sometimes I'm angry and that comes out. Sometimes I'm playing covers. Sometimes I'm humming. Sometimes it's terrible. And then just every so often, and it's almost like the ukulele goes, hey, here's a new song for you. And I'm like, sometimes I've got words that are really looking for something. I've got a message I really want to put out, and I'm trying to find chords to fix them. Sometimes it's the other way around. There's just a nice chord progression that I like, and I'm whistling along, and then suddenly something will happen in my day-to-day life, and I'm like, oh, that's a good hook phrase, and that might work. And suddenly, sometimes they take on a life of their own, and I think it's going to be one kind of song, and it just takes off in this, like... So as you've noticed, the songs tend to kind of...
It's an outlet for you.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, as I
wonder is how much of it is escapism, but it's not. It's also the thing that brings me back and connects me to people.
It grounds you, yeah.
I'm not sure if I do music for people or I do people for music. It's a kind of a... I don't know. I feel like a swinging door in a saloon sometimes.
But it's something you'll have lifelong. And you can do for the rest of your life. I mean,
you'll never get to the bottom of that ocean.
Exactly.
That's a cool thing.
Good analogy. Yeah. I often wish I got into it younger. I mean, I'm not into music now because I always just put it in this
Never too late.
Well,
Shall-
maybe I should, because I've realised that I can't keep skateboarding and surfing for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Well, I plan to try to do it for
Maybe.
as long as possible,
Yeah.
but with music, it's always going to be there, isn't it?
Yeah. I suppose it's like anything. Where there's a will, there's a way. I mean, Django Reinhardt only had 3 fingers on his right hand, and look what he did. I mean, someone would have told him, "No, mate, don't bother with the guitar. You should be a math teacher." And I love the story of the Buena Vista Social Club. I don't know if you remember that. There's a really lovely
I know
Cuban
that.
thing. Ibrahim Faher and all these people that, like, at the age of 90, became international superstars,
How
and they
bizarre.
actually couldn't care less, and they were just doing what they'd always done and just loved it. It just took the rest of the world that long to find them and see what they're doing and go, wow, that's awesome. And I like that kind of feeling. I
kinda
intend
feel
to
like
play music and surf until I
I
can't
kind of feel like I
anymore.
could see you in the Buena Vista Social Club.
Yeah, I'd love to. What a cool way to end your days, just doing all the things that you've always loved.
Yeah.
I already longboard, so I'm no shame in that. I bodyboard
Dude, you're
sometimes
too,
too.
You're
I
still
couldn't
too
care
young
less.
to get a longboard, man.
I've
Come on now.
always had a longboard. I love longboarding.
Yeah.
There's something about the grace and the style and the ancestral. It's just. Yeah, it's of its own way. It's really fun. You
My
just
analysis
stand
is
up
that
really
it is more fun because you don't have to try as hard, and you're
enjoy
not
it more,
striving.
yeah.
But modern day surfing, sometimes
so hardcore.
on a thruster, you kind of sometimes feel like you're fighting the wave.
Yeah.
And you're fighting it. Whereas longboards, you can't do that. You just have to.
You've got to go with it, and you've really got to find the trim line that the wave's offering you. And there's something really beautiful in that. It's like you're listening a lot more, and it's more reactive. Yeah. There's something really nice. Just now in Polynesia, in Hawaii, I tried an alaya for the first time in my life.
Finless
and I was out for
woodboard.
an hour.
How was it?
It was awesome. I was like, I'm in
Did you
Hawaii.
stand up on it?
I got up once in
And
about an hour and a half.
Did it want to slide sideways? Because those.
Oh
things
yeah,
have
the
no
first
fin.
time I tried to get up, it slid sideways and
Yeah.
nearly chopped my arm off because it's so thin, and
Yeah,
it
right.
kind of caught me on the funny bone, and my arm went limp for
no.
about 20 minutes. but then I managed to get up, and you've really got to almost kind of squat and sit on it. Almost, you don't really stand, and it only catches on the rails.
Gotcha.
So you really have to just
Like snowboarding.
yeah, you really just got to sit in the pocket. You can't
Yep.
go down and out,
Gotcha.
otherwise you skid out sideways. If you're too high up, you just get rolled over. There's an art to it, but it's beautiful in its own way, and I'm so pleased I caught one wave. I'm like, it completed my Hawaiian experience. It was my last surf in Hawaii, and this awesome guy, Kahi Pakaro, who works for Parley for the Oceans, he runs the Hawaii chapter of it. Awesome dude. When you get a chance, if you get a chance, go hang out with him. He lent me his alaya, and it was so ancestral, so beautiful. And my expectation was so low, and again, like you're saying earlier, I wasn't fighting the wave. I wasn't trying to do anything other than just get on it.
Yeah.
And the board showed me the way to do that, and it was really like, this is what it must have felt like, and people have been doing that. That was how surfing was born. So it's felt so good after hearing Nainoa talking about going back to our ancestry, but looking forward to be invited to this event where I'm with kids and we're looking at changing things to the future.
Yeah.
But to be able to do I felt like, I felt honestly a connection with a me from 200 years ago.
Yeah.
I feel, there's something really cool. My
Did it
mum is
just
from
feel
Madeira,
really-
it's called Micronesia is the technical term. It's a volcanic island in the middle of the ocean.
Macronesia or Micronesia?
Macronesia.
Because I've been to Micronesia.
Yeah, Micronesia's near.
Where's Macronesia? Is it in the
Macronesia.
Pacific Ocean?
Macronesia is the Portuguese islands in the middle of the
What ocean?
Atlantic.
Atlantic. Yeah.
So and everything isn't so different. I wonder if we're not just here, kind of not reincarnated, but literally just going over, continuing the life that's come through us from our ancestors. On my mum's side, I'm definitely sure there's some African slave trade in there, and I'm not sure. I'm probably on both sides of that coin as a Portuguese citizen, but there's definitely something in the way music affects me that I'm and my family heritage, and looking at some of the photos of my mum's family, there's definitely some African blood in there somewhere. And on the other hand, on my English side, there's a sort of colonial I was brought up in a quasi-colonial superpower, moving to Portugal and setting up railroads and businesses and whatnot. So I wonder how much of us is not just going over things that our parents and our ancestors did right and wrong, and kind of coming to terms with that. It's almost as though, rather than reincarnating, life is evening itself out through us.
Gotcha.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Funneling, all the bad things, we're trying to put them right, all the bad things in our ancestry, and all the good things too, trying to bring them together in one person, and then it's going to funnel back out through our kids. And for a moment, you're the middle of the funnel,
the conduit.
But then, from your kids' point of view, you're just another one of you're the wake. You're wide and far away. And I kind of felt that in Hawaii. We're not all that different, They're looking for their ancestry. They're trying to find their voice. They're looking for the future. They're island people. They live near the sea. They're so connected to waves. I don't know. There's so much of me that's like stuck. My psyche is stuck in the sea.
It kind of feels
somehow.
like that last Hawaii trip was really...
I felt like I was Hawaiian
really
by the end of it. A
significant.
part of me really connected with Hawaii.
But do you think
on the terms of as a Hawaiian.
But do you just think you identified with the culture and the people, and it just tapped into your passion and love?
But more than that, I felt like a kind of ancestral awakening of self-awareness.
Gotcha.
Like, probably my ancestors were very similar to Hawaiian ancestors.
Gotcha.
People who lived on an island, people who worshipped the ocean.
You found identification.
Totally. And I felt
How
more than
interesting.
that, kinship.
Did you expect that?
No, not at all. Not at
Wow.
all. And the more I think about it, the more I feel I'm understanding something that's kind of, it's not reincarnation, it's living continuation of life itself, passing through us, through me, and refining itself and forgiving itself and correcting its past errors. It's really, I can't really explain it.
I think you explained it well.
Okay, thank you.
I get it. Yeah.
And it's a feeling that's been growing and defining itself.
And you've never
in
had
my
that
brain.
feeling before. Did you not have that in Portugal?
No, I reckon as a kid I had weird feelings of reincarnation. I've always felt that I've definitely lived in the ocean.
Wow.
And I used to think, it must be reincarnation when I found out what that word was and what it meant. But now when I look back at it, I'm not sure it's reincarnation as much as it's just a memory. It's a memory of...
Maybe it's in your DNA.
Yeah, maybe.
It's in your genes.
And I wonder if I can go all the way back to being a, little microbiological thing that was swimming around the ocean and then evolved into something and is just trying to figure all this
How
crap
interesting.
out.
It's really interesting.
I think that's what we are.
Do you feel it in Bali?
Oh, Bali's taught me a whole bunch of things. That's a whole nother podcast. Yeah, Bali definitely has accelerated something in me. How can I even begin to explain that? I already had these notions of things don't happen by chance.
Mm-hmm.
Things happen for a reason. Since I've come to Bali, I can't explain it other than I just don't believe in coincidence anymore. I do not. Everything happens because it's supposed to. The good stuff, the bad stuff. And even the bad stuff isn't bad if you just learn something from it,
Yeah, a growth mindset. Would you say Bali's cracked you open?
Whew. I've seen it crack couples apart. I've seen it crack people's heads open. I've seen it crack people... break people. I've seen it chew people and spit people out.
Has it opened
for me,
you up?
Bali is like a living entity.
Has it opened you up as a person?
Yeah.
In what way?
Oof.
Like, has it made you more in... I'll help you with that. Has it made you more in touch with your feelings? Has it made you more in touch with you and how you identify with the world? Has it made you become more honest with yourself?
Yes to all of those things.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was going to happen anyway because I'm heading to that stage in life where I got young children. It's a classic. Sometimes it's a classic midlife crisis. I find myself stressing about things, and I'm so glad in many ways that I came to Bali where local people look at you and go, you know what, you've got food, you've got a roof, what are you stressing about? And you can't change anything anyway. It's like that feeling from, you know...
And what are you striving for?
And what are you after, you know, if it's not this here now? And that's possibly the... I mean, I was always a bit of a live in the now kind of person anyway. I said, my savings, I just blew them on a ukulele. But that's an investment for the rest of my life.
It's beautiful.
And it's just, the way it sounds.
I mean, and you'll pass it on to your kids.
Yeah.
And you won't even think about the money you paid for it.
No.
You probably don't even already.
No. It's funny because I felt a little bit bad about it. And when I got back, Mariana, my wife, was saying, well, how much did you spend on it? And I was just embarrassed to tell her.
Yeah.
And so she Googled it. And luckily, it came back in the Google search as like twice as much as what I actually paid for it. So A, that made me feel better. But B, it was really cool to see her go, no, it's totally cool. This was always a dream of yours. You're going to keep it forever. That is worth everything you paid for it. And it's going to make you so happy. And that happiness is going to come out and you're going to spread it around other people. And I'm like, I don't like things, but then something like that comes along and I'm like, that's a thing.
The thing is, I have this discussion with my wife, like things like musical instruments and surfboards, because I own way too many surfboards, and
me too.
She can't get a head around why I just need a new surfboard, even though I've got 6 there that I barely ride, or I do ride them all. I just depends when I want to ride them. But and I say it's not actually about that. It's about like what I'm doing on that thing.
What you do with it,
and it's very different to like a car or a motorbike.
Unless that's your thing and you've got a collection of cars, because that's what...
If it gives you a spiritual outlet or connection, because that's what surfing and music does, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so she's coming around. Can
I give you a hint? Someone once told me, always buy the same coloured board. That way when she sees you coming in with a red board, she'll be like, she won't know if that's board number 12 or 13 or 14. She just sees you with another red board and she's like, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So doing that. I'm so doing that this weekend.
Paint all your boards the same colour, then she won't know which one it is and how many you've got. She'll be like, oh, that's a different shape or a different size. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's the other one of 2 or 3.
That's interesting. And I love that you do share your music. I mean, I see you at the Green School when you stand out the front on random mornings, and as everyone enters the gates, you stand there playing the ukulele. I remember on my first day you were doing it, and I just walked in. I didn't even know you, and you're just there playing the ukulele.
It makes people smile. And when they don't, I say, hey, there's no smiling on Thursdays, and then they do crack up. So I'm like, yes, gotcha.
And I walked in, and I'm like... And you're playing the ukulele, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm in heaven. There's just people playing the ukulele for no reason.
Can I tell you a funny thing about the ukulele? The ukulele was originally from Portugal, and it was... No. Yeah, I'm not joking. Do you want to hear this connection?
Sure.
The viola braguesa from Portugal was taken by the Portuguese to Madeira, to the island, and probably either through whaling, which I'm not at all... proud of in my ancestry, or slave trade, also not very proud of. The Portuguese took it to Hawaii. So the Hawaiian ukulele is a Portuguese instrument from Portugal. Now do you see why I feel like my life, there's no coincidence. I didn't go to Hawaii by mistake, and there's no reason why, there's no confusion in my mind as to why I had to get a Hawaiian ukulele and bring it back with me.
I see it, man.
Yeah?
I see it.
I'm Hawaiian. I'm Hawaiian from before the...
I can tell.
Probably a lot of the Hawaiians, loads of them have Portuguese names. A lot of the Hawaiians, people who are half Hawaiian, probably the other half was Portuguese.
Yeah. Wow. See, I thought... Okay. I thought predominantly there was like this American, Japanese influence there.
Afterwards. Yeah.
A long time after that. How interesting. I never known that. Because I mean... I went to Hawaii and I kept calling it ukulele, and this Hawaiian grabbed me and goes, it's not a ukulele, it's a ukulele.
Ukulele, yeah.
Ukulele.
And it's not Hawaii, it's Hawaii.
Hawaii, yeah. And Haleiwa.
Yeah.
I surfed there, I love that spot. Scary though. Scarier than I thought it'd be.
I went in the wrong season. I caught one day really good. But you know what? It was just such a dream to be out there with the 2 Balinese boys, and these big fat old Hawaiian dudes on their longboards and no leashes would paddle over and look at our two little brown boys and go, "Hey, where are you from?" And they'd go, "Bali." And you see this guy just light up and talk to them for 20 minutes in the line up and push them in and give them tips and help them out. There's a really nice
and I draw a lot of comparisons with Hawaii and Indonesia because they're both volcanic.
Yep.
And they both have very powerful water around them, and I just think that in itself creates an energy. And I mean, I heard about growing up as a youngish surfer, I'd always hear about the power in Hawaii of the waves there, but it's not till you go there and you actually witness it. There is something different. Like I sat on the beach and I got to watch pipe go off in the 12 to 15 foot range, maxing. Second and third reef were breaking, and it was. I sat there for 6 to 8 hours, just all day. Had lunch, just watching
flames and waves.
Can feel it.
Watch them forever.
And I sat there going, that is just so far out of my realm. And you literally would have to do a full on apprenticeship to surf that place.
Yeah.
And that is the apprenticeship in Hawaii is to live there and grow up there and learn the ocean and respect it as much. And they always talk about respect in Hawaii. But until you go there, you can't understand it because respect is so necessary. It's because of safety fundamentally, But listen. I feel like honestly, Francis, I could talk to you for hours, and I'm going to say this. Like I'd really feel like I need to have you back on the show. But I want to finish on a couple of things. Firstly, the SOAP program.
Yes.
It's
Student Ocean Ambassador.
Yeah, the student, program. And I kept calling it the Surf Ocean Ambassador program. It was my mistake.
That's where it was born.
Yeah. And it's funny because I've been a little bit a part of the SOAP stuff.
Yeah.
And I did know that. I feel a bit stupid. Maybe I should
No, it's okay.
re-edit that.
That's where it was born.
But some people still refer to it as that.
Well,
yeah, and then surfing is the hook there, and I know you have some of the programs under the SOAP realm, not just surfing, but the stand-up paddleboarding and where they go and clean reefs and pick rubbish out of the reef, and there's also the free diving, and then there's the Surfers for Diversity where they take young people with autism surfing.
Yeah, and Down syndrome kids.
And there's no coincidence that the ocean has a significant impact on those type of students, on those type of people, And so I just think it's so beautiful that you guys do that, and then you organise this amazing ocean awareness festival.
Thanks for your help
with the local people in Sese.
Yeah.
And just the connections that I've noticed that you've built with the locals and how that is at the forefront of what you do. I really feel that it's what gives the program so much credibility, and I think that's where a lot of your respect comes from.
Yep.
So my question to you is, what's next for SOAP? Where do you see it? Where do you want it to go?
Honestly, I'd like to think I've been answering honestly this whole time. It's just a turn of phrase. What I really want, the dream for me, the end game for me, my son's just joined the surfing program, and he's really into it, and he developed allergic asthma over the summer, which is the only thing that stopped him from joining the diving, the scuba diving program. So I'm just so happy that I get to work in an amazing place where I'm supported and encouraged to do this. There are people who believe in what I believe in and what I'm doing. I get to share that with my kids. I get to share my daily life with my kids. I get to share my passion with my kids. It doesn't really get much better, but there is a dream, and here it is. We build the program till it gets to the point where enough has been said and done, and we really are building kids to the point where they're being offered jobs before they've even left school, in conservation, in politics, in whatever it is. And my real dream would be within about 5 years, when we've got the program really steady, to do a maybe semester, maybe a year of school on a boat, going around the world, learning stuff or sharing what we've learned, meeting up with the plastiki guys, trying to hook up with Uncle Nainoa. I'd love to storm Kelly's wave pool and say, Kelly, we're here. We've got our homemade bamboo boards from the other side of the world in the jungle. We paddled here ourselves. Let us in so we can show the world that you don't need
You're raising awareness.
That's what I really want to do on
why
that trip. But I also want to learn a ton, and I want to get Austin Kino and the Polynesian Voyaging Society on board with this. I want to travel the world, learning stuff on a boat, a sailboat.
Yeah, but Francis, the way I see it is, even though you have these beautiful, amazing programs that these young people are involved in, I feel from a semi-outsider's point of view, watching you manage all this, is that your real activism is the fact that you are teaching these young people how to care, how to make conscious decisions, how to advocate, and how to be activists themselves. In my opinion, that the next generation and getting into their minds and getting into their hearts is fundamentally the most important way to make change.
Sure, that's the only way I think we can make change.
It's the only way. I mean,
in ourselves, and just put that little bug in someone's ear.
But then we have a responsibility to live by example, and I think nobody does it as well as you.
Thank you.
We're in our community, and
you haven't seen the inside of my house, but you will soon.
Yeah, but look, it's been epic. It's been almost an hour and a half. Is there anything you want to go out on? Is there anything you want to finish on?
Can I play you another one of my songs?
Yeah, I was hoping you'd say that, man. But before we're going to finish on that, but give me a high five, brother. Mate, I love your work, and
Thanks,
like I said, man,
I love you.
I just feel like
your encouragement means a lot to me, man.
Thank you. And I also just want to, just quickly before you start, like, where can we send people to help support what you do and support causes? I know.
Send them to the bedroom in the morning to look at themselves in the mirror. Seriously. Look into yourself. There's so much that you can do. Just be kind to yourself. Don't be mean. Don't beat yourself up for all the stuff that you know you should do or that you wanted to do but you didn't get around to. And just every day, there'll be days when you won't. And you'll be like, nah, press snooze. And nah, I'm not doing that. And I know I should have done this and I can't be bothered. But you know what? There's also days when you will go, nah, today I'm going to do this. And it might become a habit, especially if it's a little thing that you can do every day. 21 days it takes, apparently, to form a habit.
Change your habits.
Form some really good habits, because it's the little things every day. And the only person really you can ever change is yourself.
It's beautiful, man. It's a beautiful way to end. It's progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
All right, brother. What's this song? I love that I said, where can you send people? I'm thinking, he's going to plug a link or a website, but say it again. Look at yourself in the mirror.
Look at yourself in the mirror. Look at your life in the mirror. That's a metaphor. Look at your life and say, what's that little thing I can do? And
I'm going to put it out there. Anyone that's listening that thinks that they can support the SOAP program and Francis and his vision, and please, if we approach you, if Francis approaches you, you can reach out via the Green School. Yeah. Or if Francis approaches you, just be willing and willing to listen, because in my opinion, and I'm not being paid to say this because I make no money.
That's why we became teachers. There's an email which I almost never check because it's not quite gone live yet, and one day there will be a website for SOAP, but it's soap@greenschool.org.
Never check it.
I never check it, so reach out to me. francis.mollet@greenschool.org if you really want to chat.
A person taking real action to make real change.
Thank you, Shan.
So what's the song, brother? What's the song?
This is one I wrote, which is kind of important. Another one.
What's it called?
It's called Thank You.
Take it away.
If you're thankful, then you're happy. They've studied happiness, and people who are thankful for what they have, and including their ambitions and hopes and dreams, tend to be the happiest in the world. So that's what I'm working at here.
Francis Mollet, episode 22. Take it away, my brother.
Thank you. They say that you... Wait, I'll get this right. They say that it's not what we say that counts, but what we do. And I just can't believe in they as much as good old me and you. So if there's something that I'd like to hear from us today, if there's one thing that I hold dear, then this is what I'd say. I just want to sing thank you at least once every day. Thank you for for the love you send my way. Straight up, simple, no delay. There's nothing that I'd rather say. I just want to sing thank you all day. I just want to sing thank you to let you know the deal. Thank you for the way you made me feel. Warm and fuzzy, pit to peel. I'm way too happy to conceal. I just want to sing thank you for real. I often wonder wildly at the power of these words. Take some time to sing them like we should. And so I try to multiply the times they should be heard. I bet you sing them now a ton of times with me, and you'll feel good. I just want to sing thank you to my mom and dad. Thank you, though my teachers drove me mad. To my mates, the lads, others, lovers, good and bad. I just want to sing thank you, and I'm glad. I just want to sing thank you. Please, just one more time. Thank you for your patience with my rhymes. To all my friends who like my songs, even when the chords of words go wrong, I just want to sing thank you all night long. Sometimes we forget to sing the friendly words. We don't take time to say them like we should. And even though, Shan, you'll never know the times that you deserved, I get to sing them now to you a ton of times, and that makes me feel good. I just want to sing one more time. Thank you. Please just wait. Thank you. Yeah, here we go. To the birds and bees, thank you. To the Lord down on my knees. To the wind, the wild, the trees. To the earth, the sky, the breeze. I just want to sing thank you. I just want to sing thank you. I just want to sing thank you. And me. Thank you very much.
Love you, brother.
Yeah.